Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PHNX Tailgate. Thank you so much for joining us. Emma, you know what to do. Run it.
Saul Bookman, Marcos Deniz, Padre, Southbound Community College Cougar, and best of all, a Wildcat from the University of Arizona.
Johnny Venerable, Maricopa, Arizona. We have a Denny's and an IHOP.
Bo Brack, the Harvard of Maricopa County, Scottsdale Community College, Fighting Artichoke.
Shane Diefenbach, North Scottsdale Circus School of Arizona. Honk, honk.
Well, it was not a good day for my beloved Wildcats. We'll go ahead and start there since misery loves company. This is The Hangover, presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's favorite sportsbook app. Don't forget to use that promo code PHNX when doing so, when using it. We'll get into a little bit more of that later. But, guys, the Wildcats just absolutely – they bungled the whole thing. They just bungled it.
Can we just mercifully end Arizona and Arizona State season now? I know they have to play next week, but that was frustrating because I thought they had a really good chance to win out and make a bowl game, and I think they're out of gas. I can confirm that. I know you were at the game yesterday. It hurts me that you drove through Maricopa, where I live, and didn't come say hello on your way to Tucson. But it's frustrating nonetheless that I think they were emotionally spent after that huge victory. When was that? Last week?
Against UCLA,
the upset victory against UCLA, who, by the way, almost beat USC. And then the tank is on Bo Brack.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you feel bad for Jaden DeLora because it was kind of a revenge game. I love what he said during the week. It's personal. Got you hyped about this performance, and then Washington State comes out and rolls, and JDL has a performance to forget. 3 consecutive interceptions, including a pick six. Man, it was brutal. And then the altercation on the sidelines makes Kyler Murray look like a tip-top leader at this point. He's not putting his hands on receivers like JDL. Just one to forget, and Saul, the dud in the desert is set up for next Friday. But I think that there's a lot on the line for two teams that have lost a lot of momentum going into this game. One can kind of pick up and go into the offseason with a little bit, right? And then the other has to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts. Honestly, yeah, it sucks that they're not going to be in contention for a bowl game against your rival. But I will say this. I think this is probably one of the few times where disappointment was met with instant, okay, but because both teams fell flat on their face yesterday. ASU looked awful, 31-7 losers to the Beavs at home. It was just, they got destroyed, and Arizona got destroyed. But as soon as that game was over, it was like, okay, it's ASU. It's rivalry week now. Let's go. So again, at the end of the day, the most important thing that I wanted to see from this program, from Arizona at least, was the growth and development heading into next year. And you got to cap that off with a win against ASU, which we will talk about that at length here in the coming week. And if you're ASU and you're Sean Aguano, this is your opportunity to really try to cement your case as being the future of ASU as the head coach. So there's a lot still left to play for both these teams. I think since both teams don't have anything to play for in terms of after this game, I think it's going to be a very intense game. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I honestly don't know who's going to win. I really don't. I think Arizona has the better offense, but that offense has gone MIA from time to time, and that's mostly because of JDL. But I also think that JDL has the propensity to really show out and play at a high level like he has, several weeks of the season, including last week against UCLA. So it just depends on who's going to show up for both sides, to be honest with you. So enough of bad football. Let's talk about some good football. And if we're talking about good football, we no longer can talk about the University of Tennessee. I mean, Holy shit. Talk about an absolute mollywhopping. Spencer Rattler throwing 8 touchdown passes. Incredible performance yesterday.
It is the worst loss in recent memory for a team that had a Final Four stamp and giving themselves an opportunity to win a national championship. Saul and Bo, I texted you a stat I saw yesterday. It's the worst loss in over 100 years for a ranked opponent versus a non-ranked opponent based on how many scores they had given up. Tennessee basically, with that loss, and I know it was in South Carolina, but you're spitting in the face of your fan base that you won that game against Alabama means nothing now. It absolutely means nothing. That rushing the field earlier this week, you're taking the Heisman away from Hooker, who himself, I mean, statistically had a good game, but you can't, if you're that defensive coordinator, allow Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks 63 points. That's a joke. That's laughable. It shows you they were looking ahead. They thought they were already in the Final Four because we know, guys, they're not going to play in the SEC title game, right? And certainly they're not going to now. And it goes from one of the most historic seasons in recent memory for Tennessee. We thought we were going to anoint them like the next Georgia, like the next Alabama once upon a time. They have all these crazy playmakers. And then really their defense is super fraudulent. To be exposed like this, I don't know where you go from here other than you probably went out and go 10-2 and play in a meaningless bowl game. But very, very heartbreaking for Vols fans.
And they're used to it at this point. They probably just felt like this year was different, and it wasn't, right? And Spencer Rattler and this offense was shut down a week ago by Florida, who just lost at home to Vandy, which is unreal. And then they put up a 60-burger. Rattler had like 8 or 9 touchdowns going into this game, and then he just completely pads his stats, has his best performance at the college level, 30 for 37, just 7 balls hit the ground. They were an absolute wagon against Tennessee. And it was shocking to see because all they had to do was win out, and then their case was made to whenever another team has a hiccup, sneak their way into the college football playoff. And now what are they going to? Now it's just another loss. Now it's an Outback Bowl, and we'll see if they even win. Whatever bowl game they get. But it was really shocking. It was a track meet from the beginning. I thought they were going to be in it a little bit closer than they were, but South Carolina just came out of the gates in the second half and just pressed them and put that game away. And then hopefully Hooker's going to be, I haven't heard anything. What's the latest on his knee? Is he done?
I haven't heard the latest yet. Hopefully he's not done, but it didn't look good when he was walking off the field. That's for sure. I'll say this, like Tennessee was fun to talk about this year. They had a really cool thing going in terms of their offensive production for a while until they hit that Georgia buzzsaw. And then it was just like, everything deflated after that. And so that defense hasn't recovered since. And that program hasn't recovered since. Listen, a big year in terms of growth, being in the national conversation for several weeks. So kudos to them for getting back into that conversation, because I know Vol Nation is very passionate about that. And they always feel like they should be in that conversation, even though they've never proved that they should be in that conversation. But hey, debts had to be paid, and that defense had to pay that debt big time yesterday. Outside of that, TCU, holy shit, I don't think I've ever seen. Listen, what TCU did at the end of that game is not even just about like people might be like, oh, well, it's luck. And you could tell that they had practiced that hundreds, thousands of times, because to have a guy get tackled with 19 seconds left on the clock and you're able to rush out and rush on your special teams unit. The kicker didn't even take his paces. He just kind of eyeballed where he should be before he kicked the field goal, and they were able to snap it, get it off, because it was a 4th down. They had no timeouts, clock running, and they kick a field goal to win the game against Baylor. That was probably one of the more unbelievable endings in terms of execution from a special team standpoint I've ever seen.
Is it wrong that all I thought about was the fact that the Arizona Cardinals couldn't do something similar? Like I have no confidence in our Redbirds to be able to do that at the professional level. And yet you've got a team in the Big 12 be able to do that and do it effectively. I was off the TCU wagon because I still don't think the conference is any good. But then watching a lot of these other teams that we assume are going to be in the mix to go to the Final Four, play close games, like you have to give it to them at this point. I know everybody else has got them in the Final Four. I have come to the conclusion that they are deserving. Now, I don't think Georgia has ever had an easier path to another national championship.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's true.
anybody else is going to be able to hang with them. And I don't even know if these teams are going to even be competitive with Georgia in the Final Four, especially now with Tennessee out, and you don't think Bama's going to get in. It's going to be a one SEC Final Four. So then you're talking about TCU, who can't stop a nosebleed. I mean, God, can you imagine what Georgia would do if TCU's the 4 seed? And then, not to pivot too quickly, but the Big Ten. The Big Ten right now, I know that a lot of people are in the mindset that Ohio State and Michigan should both make it regardless of next week. I read this morning, guys, Michigan has the second easiest non-conference schedule in the nation. And I'm a Harbaugh supporter, and if Michigan wins, I think they should get in. If Ohio State beats Michigan, I'm not so sure you can let them in over like a USC, because I do think the Big Ten is a little bit fraudulent. I would love to see 4 conferences represented in what could be one of our last Final Fours with true 5 power conferences. So I'm jumping all over the place here, but I watching TCU yesterday, I'm like, okay, you've earned my respect. Not that you needed it. Put them in the Final Four. Let the chips fall where they may. They're a great story. Underdog mentality. And unlike Cincinnati last year, like they did play a bunch and beat a bunch of ranked teams in their conference, in a major conference, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, TCU deserves it. I'm not looking forward to seeing them play in the college football playoff. I think those two facts can remain true. Like, they deserve a spot, but I am skeptical about how they can hang. As far as the Big Ten, yeah, you saw some tough matchups the last couple of weeks between Ohio State and Michigan, where they both looking forward to next week's matchup, which is going to be huge, because I agree with you. I think, especially with a Pac-12 team like USC, that it controls its own destiny. Like, if it wins, including last night, a big win against its rival UCLA, if it wins out, and then that would be 3 consecutive wins over ranked opponents, I mean, it's undeniable. You can't keep USC out of the college football playoff at that point. TCU's got a spot. Georgia's got its spot. At that point, you've got 3 teams vying for one extra spot. It's really going to be tough to tell. But no, can we get into this USC game last night? Because Saul, I completely agree with you. As far as Caleb Williams, like I said, their spot in the CFP is undeniable if they went out. And I think Caleb Williams, it's his Heisman to lose at this point.
I agree. Caleb Williams was fantastic last night. For those of you who didn't watch that USC UCLA game, man, you really missed a hell of a ball game. Those offenses for a while could not be stopped no matter what was happening. DTR, like, props to him for battling through that injury on his finger. You could tell it was bothering him big time, but then he throws a 55-yard dot for a touchdown, which was fantastic. Like, that was a fun game to watch. There's something to be said about LA teams. LA fans are kind of fair weather to a degree, especially with the colleges. They show up whenever they feel like it. But that stadium was packed last night, and it was loud. Awesome. It was raucous. It was just a fun ball game. I will say this about USC. I agree. I think if Michigan loses and USC wins out, USC will be the representative instead of Michigan. I wholeheartedly agree. The problem is going to be if Michigan wins, then Ohio State has a good non-conference schedule. They've beat some good teams. And so how do you decipher? And I think what's going to happen is that USC is going to have to thump Notre Dame pretty significantly, because that's the common opponent between Ohio State and Notre Dame. Or Ohio State and USC is Notre Dame. So
style points.
So the style points are really going to matter. And then they get a revenge game against Oregon as well. So to avenge that would be good for them. So if that all falls their way, I agree, USC will be in there. The team that I'm really concerned is going to somehow find their stupid ass way into this freaking playoff is LSU. I don't want to see LSU play against anybody. I have no interest in watching LSU play. They're a good team. Jaden Daniels has improved vastly from last year, but I don't want to see 2 SEC teams in the final.
Well,
I just don't.
The only way that happens is if they somehow beat Georgia. Jaden Daniels is not beating Georgia in the SEC title game. It's not going to happen. We're going to get run over. That game will be like 40-27, but the score won't be as close as what the game looked like. And then they'll have 3 losses, and we won't have to talk about them. But Lincoln Riley, to me, like, all he does is make Heisman quarterbacks. I think he is probably he's a top 3 coach in college football. I think he is somehow underrated at this point to do this with USC. Not only his players, he's going to go down like outside of Nick Saban. I don't know if there's and Kirby Smart. I don't know if there's anybody else I would want to run my program. And I think it's good for the Pac-12 when USC is good. It brings more national attention to the Pac-12, more relevance. That game last night had a big game feel. So I think they're going out with style. I don't want to see them in the Big Ten. I think it's ridiculous.
That's the other thing that I did keep thinking about last night. I was like, look at these two teams playing in this nice 65-degree weather in fucking November. You mean to tell me I got to watch Caleb Williams at some point next season, possibly going on the road to like Minnesota and playing in that awful ass stadium when it's like 20 below? Like that's the game I'm going to have to be subjected to watch, like to watch some of these West Coast. Like that's why the whole move to the Big Ten never made sense to me at all. I understand it was about money. It's always about money, but damn, man, I am really interested to see how this is all going to look, because it looks like a shit show is about to happen. But hey, I digress. Anyway, obviously a lot of stuff going on today or yesterday, but we have a lot of stuff to get to today. Before we do that, Johnny, you guys have a nice little app that you like to use from time to time. Yeah,
we love it. It's called Underdog Fantasy. I'm sure you've heard about it. Listen, I get a lot of shit from my peers here at PHNX because my year-long fantasy team, not very good. So I'm off those, and I'm on the Underdog Fantasy where I can gamble and wager.
You better not be off of those
football
too long, because then Waffle House is coming for you.
Now I'll beat Michaela today. You just watch.
By the way, in our in-house standings right now, somebody, one of us three, is in dead last. I'm not going to say who, but it's kind of represented in the screen, if you will, in terms of the layout.
Come on. That's why I'm dialed into Underdog as well. You know, I need a little happiness in my life. That's why I got this app fired up. I'm looking at some high lows for tonight and tomorrow.
Yep, higher and lowers, and it's not just NFL, it's NBA as well. But listen, you can dabble on every single game day. You can draft with your buddies. You can draft with strangers to win that cold, hard cash. It is what PHNX peeps are using. How's Kyler Murray looking for tomorrow's hire? Not great. We're going to get to that. It's easy to get started. All you got to do is go to underdogfantasy.com, download the app, and sign up with promo code, you guessed it, PHNX. Underdog is going to match your first deposit up to $100. So fired up to be partnering with Underdog and making some cold, hard cash on that app. Get in on the action today.
It's funny that you mentioned Kyler and company, which we will talk about. We actually have a special edition of the PHNX Tailgate tomorrow as well, 1 hour prior to kickoff, starting at 5:00 for you guys that are all watching. We'll give you that'll be a complete Cardinals heavy show from beginning to end. You're gonna love it. But for today, since they're not playing, we're gonna talk about other things, and some of those other things that are actually happening outside of football is the World Cup. It just started today. Ecuador versus Qatar just kicked off about an hour and a half ago. Last time I checked, it was 1-0. But we'll be at Four Peaks for the entire World Cup run for both the U.S. and for Mexico. It is going to be fucking awesome. We'll be down there tomorrow, starting tomorrow, the 21st, to watch the U.S. take on Wales at noon. Every game is at noon, with the exception of one, which is this Tuesday, as Mexico plays at 9 a.m. But we'll have breakfast, we'll have brunch, we'll have beer, we'll have booze, we'll have the whole 9 yards, all for you. Please come out, check us out at Four Peaks. That is the home for the World Cup, period. That's just what it is. If you go up to the U.S. Soccer website and you click on a map, it will tell you that Four Peaks is the spot for the World Cup. So please come join us. Remember, if you're going to take in some of that Four Peaks, they have beer specials tomorrow, $3 kilt lifters, food specials as well. It's going to be fantastic. If you're going to drink responsibly, and you must be 21 and over. So that's what we have at Four Peaks. Emma, survey says Cerveza. What is up?
All right. Well, before we get into that, Ecuador is up 2-0.
2-0 now.
Yeah.
All right.
2-0, guys. 2-0. Let's get the lingo down.
Can I swear on this?
Yes, of course.
All right, guys. We're going to be playing Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh,
but we're going to be doing it with NFL coaches. All right.
Wow.
Oh, okay. We couldn't come up with 3 different names. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Are
Cool.
you guys ready for the first one?
I guess.
Do it. Let's do it.
So you gotta, each person has to say,
Yeah, I got you.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Okay.
First one.
All right. Oh, damn. Okay. Jesus Christ.
I'll go first. All right. F, marry, kill. Oh, I'm killing Josh McDaniels. Get out of my league. You're a fraudulent head coach. The Raiders want to fire him. They're just too poor. They can't afford it. They've come out and they basically said, we have to have him as our coach next year because we don't have the funds on tap to pay him his guaranteed money. He's dead to me. I'm gonna marry Bill Belichick. I feel like if I'm Arizona, this is the Cardinals scenario. I can get Bill Belichick for the last, half decade plus of his NFL career. I can do that. He's a fun guy. And you know what? As a married guy, I wouldn't have to see him too much because he lives at the office. So I can kind of just do my own thing. And then I'm effing Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, fun guy, right? Hell yeah. He looks like he parties. He's down in Jacksonville. He and I will be hanging out in with our clothes on in that pool in the stands. There you go. F, marry, kill. Doug Peterson, handsome guy. Look at that long hair, by the way.
Yeah. You could just tussle that hair afterwards. I got what I think I flip-flop 2 of those, Johnny. Actually, I'll keep the K as for McDaniels. Then I think I'm going to F Belichick. I think he's a one-night kind of guy. He's on to his next venture. So I'm going to go with Belichick. I know he's the GOAT as far as head coaches go. And then, I'll just I'll marry Peterson. He seems like a guy you want to hang out with for the long term, even though Philly fired his ass a couple weeks.
Yeah. Sit out back when the lawn chairs.
Yeah, I'm a little bit opposite. I think I'm going to F Josh McDaniels. He seems like he would be fun for one night. He's got one little glimpse, and it's always been Tom Brady. And then I'm going to marry Doug Peterson. I'm going to kill Bill Belichick just because I could not stand to hear him talk ever, period.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't be next to somebody like that. So let's just get rid of him. Okay, what you got next there, Emma? Jesus. Oh, my God.
Wow.
I mean, okay, this is easy. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, how am I going to take it? Are we going to do this? Okay, here we go. I'm going to F Sean Payton because I only need some of his secrets. I don't need them all. I'm going to marry Andy Reid because he ain't going anywhere. He's damn sure not leaving me. And we're going to kill Cliff Kingsbury because, well, there's no substance. It's just a pretty face.
I mean, that's great for the F part of this, right? Isn't he a perfect candidate for that?
But you want to also have fun, and I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury is a fun kind of guy.
Oh, I'm definitely taking him as my F buddy there. Of course, Andy Reid, put a ring on it, just like he did a couple of years ago, and then Sean Payton, he's not even coaching right now. I know the resume's solid, but I'm gonna kill him off. He's my K.
I'm killing off Andy Reid. Enough of your dynasties and winning. I'm sick of it. Goodbye, Andy. You're dead to me. I'm effing Cliff Kingsbury along with Bo Brack for obvious reasons. Let's have a banger out in Paradise Valley. Let's get the movie theater going. Let's get all. Can I invite some of his friends over, some IG models that see I'm effing Cliff because of the extension that he brings with him, and there could be some other people to F there too. And then I'm marrying Sean Payton. I'm locking Sean Payton into a lifetime contract with the Arizona Cardinals to coach my franchise. I feel like that's the best way to go about it.
Do you guys have any I'm a Leo. He's a Leo. Are we going to, because that was documented on Hard Knocks, is that going to be an issue for me?
It's going to make it all the more spicy.
Johnny, I did not think about the IG model angle.
Yes.
You are absolutely right about that.
It can't be an orgy. No one said that.
You want to get weird with K2.
Oh my God, dude, what are you sniffing out there, Miranda, right now, man? Also, side note, you cannot throw me under the bus for driving to Tucson and not detouring 50 fucking miles out of the way to go to Miranda. That's not happening. I will not be shamed. All right.
Like Saul, honk when you get to Smith-Anke Road.
Last one right here.
Here
we go.
God, there's more.
Oof.
I'm exhausted from all this effing.
Dude, this is easy. This is the easiest one of them all. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, F and Nathaniel Hackett because he's fucking awesome. I know he's not been doing very well as a coach out in Denver. He's been saddled with one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. But we got to hang out with him in Indy. He's a fun guy, fun to talk to. We had several drinks. Yeah. I'm marrying Mike McDaniel because he's going to keep it spicy. He's going to keep it, you're always going to be on your toes because he's just a weird kind of dude, but he's really funny. Also, we're both biracial, so shout out there, coach. And I'm killing Steve Wilkes because Steve Wilkes hasn't done anything ever.
All right, I'll go with McDaniel's the only one that's got long-term written all over. I'm locking him in, no doubt about it. And then these two, you just got to figure out which direction you want to go. I'll go Wilkes. Maybe I feel bad for the guy. I feel like he's never gotten a great opportunity. 2018 Cardinals. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not absolutely a little sympathy for Steve Wilkes. I mean, he's coaching Carolina now, which is awful, and then Arizona in 2018. And then Hackett has shown me nothing. I got no hate for Hackett, but at the same time, I mean, he hasn't done anything for me. So throw him in the K department.
I'm with Bo. I'm marrying Steve Wilkes so I can then pit him against Steve Keim and then may the best man win. I'll get Steve Wilkes a key card and let's just let him up into the executive floor and let the chips fall where they may. Maybe Steve Wilkes is kind of, you marry him and you just kind of, see what goes on. Nathaniel Hackett, to me, he's dead to me because here's the thing. Saul and I met him at the combine. We had beers with him. He's fantastic. He just gave up play calling today. That tells me he's a dead man walking. You're a first-year head coach already giving up play calling. Not only dead to the NFL, but you're dead to me. And then I'm effing Mr. McDaniels, the most handsome coach in the NFL. I think he's overtaken Cliff. I think he's overtaken Matt LaFleur. He's somebody else that we met at the combine. He had a backpack on. He looked like some graduate assistant, but he actually runs the Miami Dolphins. So what a game.
That was fun.
Did you like that one, guys?
Nice job, Emma.
Maybe make that like once a year thing. And then
yeah. Maybe or maybe we change the name and instead of F, Marry, Kill. Maybe we come up with something a little bit different. It's just weird to talk about these coaches in that context, especially when you're talking about guys like Bill fucking Belichick.
Okay, well, I asked if I could swear.
So that was fun. That was Cerveza. But the most important thing you all need to know is the DraftKings Sportsbook app is the best sportsbook app in America. Please use promo code PHNX right now as I slowly pull up my ad read, which is, I was not prepared for this at all.
So you want me to take it down?
Go ahead. Take it down, buddy.
So DraftKings right now, new customers, get this, can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet, get $200 back if your team wins. Listen, I come into every Sunday, and I'm going to say, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to gamble on maybe one or two parlays. And then I wake up. It's like Christmas morning every Sunday. I get these profit boosts, right? And they say, boost your winnings. And they get me every time. I'm due for a big day. You can have a big day using promo code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And it is time for our favorite segment of the week, Prop, Lock, and Drop It, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Tap that app. Let's do it.
Let's go. So this is where we give you our props that we like, our drops that we hate, and our locks for the week. So, Bo Brack, you have the honors this week. Start off with your favorite props.
I can't believe this is still plus money. Justin Fields score a rushing touchdown. It's also up there on the board as a receiving touchdown. Anything but a passing touchdown. I feel like that's easy money. Johnny said it earlier this week. I'm all over any Justin Fields prop. He's on fire. He's going to beat Saul's ass this week in fantasy football when my team's going to make its way out of the basement. And I'm all over Justin Fields. He's on fire. It seems like it's more likely he's going to find the end zone with his legs than he is with his arm. So give me that Justin Fields plus money on the rushing touchdown prop.
Anything with Justin Fields right now. I mean, you can get Justin Fields, I think, almost even money over on the 69.5 rushing yards against Atlanta today. Get on that because the props are going to close. We should always kind of preface by saying, like, props are done when the game starts for the early slate. So get your props in now. Another prop that I like Nick Chubb anytime touchdown today against the Buffalo Bills. Their run game looked very suspect last week against the Minnesota Vikings and Dalvin Cook. I also like Cleveland with 2+ sacks on the day against Josh Allen and company. Just for some reason, I think the Bills right now, they have to go to Detroit. They're playing inside a dome. I think we're going to get a lot of explosive plays, but I still think we're going to get sloppy Buffalo. So I like the Bills to cover in that game, but I also like Cleveland to hit a bunch of props, and Chubb anytime touchdown is my favorite.
What I really love about DraftKings Sportsbook app is now they're starting to put together some parlays and groups to make it easier for you to bet all at one time. And right now, I'm heavy on the Philadelphia Eagles against the Colts today. They have a gangrene bounce back parlay for plus 500, which means the Eagles to win versus the Colts straight up. Jalen Hurts 2+ passing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown scorer. And A.J. Brown, 55 receiving yards. I like all 4 of those. That's what I'm taking today as my props. Today's lock. To me, today's lock is you have to take the over in the Bills-Browns game. I think the Bills have not had enough time to prepare for this game because they've been shoveling the shit out of their driveways and trying to get out. The Browns have had all the time in the world, but it's not going to matter because they're the Browns. It is indoors. It is. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think the spread right now on that game, last time I checked, let's double check on that one, is 50.5. You're telling me that between the Bills and the Browns, they can't score at least 51 points? I think that's the easiest money of the day. You've got to take that over.
Love it.
As far as my lock of the week, the team, we talked about the Eagles bounce back. It's because the Eagles are trying to bounce back from their loss to the Washington Commanders. They're 3.5-point favorites on the road at Houston. Houston 0-3-1 at home, the only tie this season opener against the Colts, while Washington has won 3 straight road games. Taylor Heinicke, he stays in the starting quarterback role for the Commanders. He gets new Jordans for every away team he beats or visiting team he beats. He's going to get those red and blue Jays by the end of this week. I think the Commanders roll in this one, beat the Texans handily. 3.5, lock it in.
Dan Campbell, big win last week against Aaron Rodgers. I think they keep it moving. I like the Lions, not only +3, I like the Lions money line today to go into New York and beat the New York Football Giants. I actually think these teams match up pretty well with each other. I think the Lions have more talent. The Giants have been playing with house money. I still think they're going to somehow get into the playoffs, which is gross. But for me, the Lions, you're going to get the effort play that you always get from the Giants, plus better players. And I do think that we've been waiting all season for Dan Campbell and company to get their shit together. They're not going to be a playoff team, but I think they get a couple key victories down the stretch that helps keep Dan Campbell employed next year into 2023. I like them to go in to the Meadowlands and beat the Giants, who, by the way, like the Giants have no receivers. They're trading Kadarius Toney away. Lions are going to lock up Saquon Barkley, Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Give me Detroit today.
Wow. Okay. Right. You're high on the Lions today, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's our drops, okay? And I'm going to start this off because I'm vehemently against this game. I don't understand, well, I kind of do to a degree, how the Vikings are home dogs to the Cowboys, who just lost on the road against the Packers, who are fucking awful. Like the Packers that just got embarrassed on national TV on Thursday. Like, I don't understand it. There's a lot of love for the Cowboys. I get that people are kind of questioning the validity of this 8-1 record that the Vikings are sporting right now, because they have gotten lucky a couple times. But hey, good teams create their own breaks, and that's exactly what the Vikings did last week. They took advantage of those opportunities. They made big plays when they had to, and they won that game against Buffalo. You can call it a fluke or whatever, but that still happened. So I am going to stay away from that game because I'm not sure what to trust when it comes to the Vikings. I could easily see the Cowboys going in there winning. I could also easily see the Cowboys going in there and getting their asses stomped. So I have no idea. So I'm not touching that game.
Who gets more disrespect, the Vikings or the Cardinals last year, as far as how well they've played this far into the season?
I think people really dislike Kyler Murray. I would say the Vikings, Kirk Cousins has made it to NFC divisional rounds, and I think the Vikings are more well liked, and they also have a bigger fan base in Minnesota. But I do think that though they're a little bit Cardinal-esque. That's a good comparison from last year.
As far as what I'm not touching, it is that snowstorm game that the Bills somehow made it to Detroit. They're taking on Cleveland. It's a 7.5-point spread. I know Cleveland can play teams tight. They're not that great of a football team, but the Bills have so many different variables and how they got there as far as how they prepared for this game. Did they have time to do it properly? Josh Allen coming back. He's not 100% health. So I'm staying away from this game. Could Cleveland be looking too far ahead when Deshaun Watson's in there under center in the next couple of weeks? So I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
least favorite game of the week, the drop that I have, Patriots-Jets today. Barfarama, both teams coming off, I think, buys. And the Patriots, to me, like, is this, if you lose to the Jets, say this is the beginning of the end. This is like, we can talk about Belichick retiring or maybe coaching another team next year. The Jets have no offensive skill players that I care about outside of Garrett Wilson. They lost Breece Hall. They lost Elijah Vera-Tucker. Yet a lot of people think they're going to beat the Patriots today. This is going to be one of the grosser games. I think we see a lot of punts, a lot of 3-and-outs, but it's a coin flip whether or not who I think is going to win. But if the Jets somehow beat the Patriots today, I don't think it's a changing of the guard, but I do think you have to commend Robert Saleh and company for getting this team, who I think still lacks a lot of key talent, over the hump. But this to me would say more about the Patriots losing than the Jets losing, because we expect the Jets to lose to the Patriots.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's a good call. And if you remember last time these two teams played, Zach Wilson was throwing footballs out like it was a damn giveaway at a fucking football game. So I don't think that'll be the case today. I think Zach Wilson will take better care of the ball, but that is kind of a toss-up. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets win that game, to be honest with you. I think the Jets are a good team. I think the Jets are better than the Giants, to be honest with you, but that's just my 2 cents. Well, that was Tap That App. Take advantage of all those betting opportunities right now, because the clock is ticking before we get to the first set of kickoffs today. And obviously, as I mentioned, we are not going to do flight risk today because the Cardinals are in Mexico City for a big Monday Night Football matchup tomorrow night. So tomorrow we will be doing another PHNX Tailgate at 5 o'clock just for you. And we're going to talk all Cardinals throughout all the segments. It's going to be fun. Interested to see what it's going to look like out there in Mexico City. A big game for the Cardinals, but also big time moves happened here at PHNX this week as we launched our new diehard level of fandom here. And it was fantastic to see. Again, our membership model has been something. It's been a subscription model based off of, similar to what you would see at the Athletic, but we've completely changed it now. all the content that you want to read is now free for the most part. There's a few exceptions. Now, diehard memberships include a newsletter once a week of premium content and insight that you can obviously subscribe to. And then you also get just the craziest amount of discounts ever. And why is that important? Well, members get 20% off all the merch that we sell no matter what, okay? You might sit there and think, oh, that's cool. It gets even better because Black Friday this week, we are going to have everything is going to be on sale from anywhere from 15% all the way up to as much as 90%. We literally will have a shirt that we are selling for 99 cents, okay? 99 cents for a shirt. I mean, hell, the shirt material itself costs more than 99 cents, but we're going to be selling 99-cent shirts. Then you throw your 20% discount on top of that. Guess what? It's an 80-cent shirt. So you can use those as well. We have so many cool giveaways. We have so many cool discounts in terms of merch, events, some of our premium events, our takeovers. You get all of that, including a fancy, cool membership card and diehard exclusive merchandise, which if you haven't seen, pretty sweet. We got jackets now that are diehards with the patch, and it's sweet. I actually bought 3 of them yesterday myself. So please check us out. Go phnx.com, take a look, become a member, jump in our Discord because it's fun as hell in the Discord. We have a guy like Sean Marks is in our content or is in our chat. He's trying to get back into the Discord. I don't know what's going on with him. I'm going to help him out, but everybody else is in the Discord having a great time. We've had multiple people sign up this week. You can be one of those people. Be a diehard, rep your fandom, and take it to another level today.
Are we going to talk quickly? Can we talk quickly about something?
Yeah.
So Kyler Murray supposedly he's not going to play, and now we've got word that Hollywood Brown is supposedly not going to play. and I kind of tease this, so I feel like we owe the audience like 2 minutes on this, Saul.
Sure.
The frustration around this franchise and Kyler Murray specifically, I think is coming to a head. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this because, Bo, you're at practice Friday. Kyler looks good. And now we're getting reports that Colt McCoy is set to start, according to Peter Schrager, which Schrager is in Cliff Kingsbury's back pocket. They're close friends. There's no reason he's going to make shit up about this. But, I mean, what's your frustration level with Kyler Murray? Because I had Howard Balzer, our own Howard Balzer at Go PHNX, message me and say, well, they could be concerned about the field and the elements and, could he re-injure it? This is a must-win game. And Kyler Murray is making $45 million a year. I'm frustrated, and I know the fans are too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it continues to look more and more like an NBA, but the NBA is over 80 games, right? So you have the luxury of sitting your players, but when you're in a must-win situation, it goes against the grain as far as what people romanticize about football, and that's guys playing hurt and guys doing whatever it takes to get out there on the field. We saw a guy in Josh Allen do everything he could to get ready after a UCL injury to get out into the playing field. And now Kyler Murray is in danger of missing his second consecutive week, and it's going to be a third consecutive year where this guy has injury concerns, and second consecutive season where he's missed more than one game. So this is a huge concern for this team going forward, especially since they locked him in for this huge, massive deal. With him and Hollywood Brown being out, it's like what is like the team goes just kind of really is not. They don't operate like other NFL franchises.
No sense of urgency.
No sense of urgency at all.
I didn't think I was going to be a Cardinals apologist today, but here I go. I will say this. I agree with Jaylen Brown in the chat. He says looking good and actually feeling good are two totally different things. Especially when you heard him on Hard Knocks, he said when he scrambled and he fumbled the ball, he said, I didn't want to open it up too much because he was already in pain, right? And so when you're talking about a defense that is elite in the San Francisco 49ers and the pass rushers that they are going to bring to the table, you can't have Kyler Murray be a stationary target back there. That won't go well at all. So I would say if he's not 100% and he feels like, hey, I need one more week to be 100%, I'm okay with that. To be honest with you, Hollywood Brown. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I haven't seen him at practice. You have, Bo. I'm a little surprised about that one. But in terms of Kyler Murray, he's going to have to scramble and run in this game to win this game. And that field, at least the last time I saw it in Mexico City, and the last thing I can recall, was not the greatest field in the world. That's for sure. A lot of slippage, a lot of turf being torn up. The last time I saw a game there. And matter of fact, I think Mexico, the last time there was a soccer game there, I want to say there was a point where a guy slid and literally his leg got stuck into the turf. Like, again, I can see it. I can understand why.
The frustrating part for me is like last year, I get it. You were unbeaten or one loss. And so you had time to buy time with Kyler Murray, and they tried to rest him for the stretch run in the postseason. And I mean, that kind of worked out. Colt went 2-1, but it's not like, I mean, you still lost in the first round of the playoffs. Like, you lose this game tomorrow. I mean, it's not, statistically you're not out of it, but you're basically, you're cooked, right? And so I guess they feel like Colt McCoy gives them the best chance to win. But as Bo, you've put it many, many times on our show, PHNX Cardinals, if Kyler Murray at 80% is not better than Colt McCoy at 90% or 95%, like, what are we doing here? And if I'm paying somebody $45 million, you got to be able to win from the pocket. And I know we put a lot of emphasis on his ability to be a playmaker outside the pocket, but like, you lose tomorrow and Kyler Murray's not under center, like what's even the point of this anymore? And this is not the NBA, and it feels like an NBA injury. It feels like, yeah, we're just going to kind of take it as no, you lose and it's late November, like you're done. The season's over.
Yeah.
And so that's frustrating for Cardinal fans, because it's like, we're not part of like the rub the dirt on it mentality, but like, come on. Nobody is healthy at this point in the season. And Kyler Murray, I think, would be able to really prove a lot of doubters wrong if he tried to give it a go. And like, maybe he had to come out of the game or something. But here's the biggest concern. If I'm a Cardinal fan, this front office, this ownership right now feels like they're just, we've got some injuries this year. We're just going to take a beat. And that suggests no changes in the offseason. Status quo. To me, it does, because if they felt a sense of urgency to win and to win, to save Cliff Kingsbury's job, Steve Keim's job, you'd be throwing everything at that. You just say, Kyler, we need you to go. Can you feel like you can go? Blah, blah, blah. I don't get that sense at all. I get the sense that just like lost year, tough schedule, bunch of guys hurt. We'll run it back in 2023. That's the feeling I get, Bo.
What happens if Colt McCoy wins tomorrow night? What do they do going into against LA? I mean, you can't, right? I mean,
No.
You shut them down until after the bye week because you got the Chargers at home the following Sunday, and then you let Kyler get as healthy as possible, and then you hope that he comes back and he's a better version of himself than we've seen through 9 weeks this season. But I think that like you can't just brush off a win on a neutral site against a good Niners team. But here's the thing, Colt McCoy, he's 3-1 as Cardinal starter, and he hasn't faced the team over 500 yet. Like, you can be encouraged by those numbers. He's facing probably the biggest test starting for the Arizona Cardinals he ever has tomorrow night.
I have no concerns about if the Cardinals play tomorrow and Colt McCoy starts. If Colt comes out and throws for 300 yards and is just fucking on fire and this team is just on another level, then okay, we'll have that conversation. But I think this is going to be an ugly game for the most part tomorrow. I think it's going to be, a low scoring game. It's going to be a bloodbath. Both these teams obviously hate each other. So we'll see. We'll see how this all unfolds. Also, we had a super chat earlier. Let's go ahead and bring that up by Sean. And Sean says, need to know who's giving Saul that fresh cut. Oh, I appreciate that. That was actually, I just went to V's barbershop up the street. Yeah, it was cool. So anyway, that's another edition of the PHNX Tailgate. We appreciate you guys joining us. They had alluded a little bit to, trying to play some winning football. You can watch a winning team today in the Phoenix Suns as you come and join me on the PHNX Suns podcast as we take on the Knicks today at 1:00. We'll be live before the 1:30 tip. So come check us out later on this afternoon. It's an odd midday on a football day tip, which you don't really get too many times here in the Valley. So it'll be cool. We'll have Lindsay and Espo joining me along with Gerald from the stadium. So all right, appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on a special edition of the PHNX Tailgate. All Cardinals all the time. Until then, peace.